I'm going to go ahead and add a razor page, but we're also going to use the templated project, but I just want to show how to add it into an existing, just like we did with our MVC. So I'm going to create a folder and call it pages. And then I'm going to add a razor page. So add new item, or just add razor page right here. And yep, that one looks good. And then I am not going to generate a page model. I'm just going to call this my razor page. So the page model would create another class where we could put our code, so our functional code basically. But I'm going to show how to do it inside of the page itself. Okay, so a few things about this. We have a page up here signifying that this is a razor page, and then we don't have any classes under here, so no .cs file, for example, to accompany this. But we're going to see how to still build this page up and separate things out. So the first thing I am going to do is add another section to this right under page. I'm going to call this functions, like that, and just going to move this back a little so it's aligned with everything else. And then in here where we might have that model page, I'm just going to go ahead and create it. So we're going to have a class, and this is going to be my, I'm going to call it like this, my razor page. Then this needs to inherit from page model. And you'll notice it's not coming through, so I will add a reference. And the way to add a reference is with a using statement. So we're just adding the namespace. It's going to be Microsoft.ASP.NetCore.MVC.Razor pages. And nothing on the end of this, no semicolons or anything like that. And now looks like it is seeing it. And then we're going to have a few things in here. Actually, I need to go ahead and add my braces, like this. So we're going to create a property that's going to be public string. We'll call it just message. Have a get and a set, and we are going to assign a default value in page model. Now we're using semicolons, and I also need to send back anything, and on get, it's going to be void on get, and in here I'm going to assign to message. Just do a plus equals. This is a message, and leave it like that for now. All right, so save this, and now we want to output this down here into the layout. So we have our title right there, and I am going to add something like this is the message. So how do I access that now that it is up here in basically the model area? So the way we're going to do it is with the @ symbol model dot, and let's look for it. So we're not finding anything right now. So we're just going to remove that for now, and I'm going to create a model reference, and that is going to be used with the @ model. So that's lowercase right there, and we're going to call this my razor page, just like that. So now we have a model. Go back down here. We're going to reference model with a capital M, and we're going to do dot message, and I think Visual Studio is just catching up, so go ahead and stop this and compile, rebuild, and then we can see if we get some kind of hint on it. So nothing. Yeah, I'm not sure why, but we're going to run this now. All right, so the first thing we want to see is that string that we have, our default string. And we are going to change this now to my razor page. And there we are. So this is the message in model. This is a message. So all of our text that we added up here is also coming through. And I'll just stop the program. So what if we want to pass in a parameter and catch that? So what we would look like in that case is where we have our razor or my razor page and the URL, basically like that. We want to do something like where we pass in an 8 and have that drop in, and we're able to use it. So the way that's going to work is right after page, we are going to do ID int. So we're passing in this integer. Then we need to catch that as well. So in our onGet is where we're going to get it. So it's going to be an int, and we're going to call it ID. So int ID. Now we've got access to it. We can go ahead and add that here, and we're going to do ID, and we'll just actually let's go back over here. Just move that dot to string. Normally you'll get the IntelliSense, so I don't know why it's not coming through. If I go ahead and restart Visual Studio, that might do it. So I'm going to do that real quick. Okay, so I've restarted Visual Studio, and now if we ID dot, you can see we're getting our IntelliSense. And let's just go take a look down here where that was missing earlier. So model dot, let's look for message. There it is. So everything's coming back now. Okay, so there is our ID that we're dropping in. And what if we want to also make use of it down here directly? So we would do something like this is the ID, and we're going to do model dot. Let's see if we have ID, and you'll notice we don't. So model, remember, is just our class. We don't have a property called ID, so that's why we're not going to see ID yet. That's not an IntelliSense issue. That's just not building out the property. So down here, we're going to add that property. It's going to be a public int. Actually, let's just go with the prop. So we're going to do prop, and that's going to be an integer. We're going to call it ID, and that should be all we need there. So just save that and go back down here where we have ID, do model dot ID. There we are. And let's give this a test. I think we have everything we need to display that at this point. All right, and let's go to our Razor page. So it's telling us we have an issue here. And what it wants is double quotes on this right here. Let's go ahead and add that there, add that, and save. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do a restart on this. All right, and we're going to go to our page, our Razor page. And so you'll notice here, nothing's actually happening. And the reason why is because we have to put in that parameter now for that to work. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Do a /8, let that go through, and there we are. And it's telling us our ID is 0. Over here, the message, we have 8. So some difference with that. And if you think about that, we're using, remember down here, the model ID, and then up here, we're catching it inside of onGet and just assigning it. So actually, it's two different things. It's subtle, but there is a difference in how that's being captured and why the other's 0. So for the class level, we're not assigning it to ID. ID never gets assignment, so it's just sticking with its default. I'm going to make these changes. Remember, we're in the class right now. So I just added that. I'm going to save this. And let's go back out here and refresh. There we are. So we have an 8. So that's working now. But also note, I made the changes in the code here at the code level. And we were able just to refresh that page and see those changes come through without any kind of problem. So that's another thing you can get out of Razor Pages. We have this other section here that is used when you're not, for example, creating this class like we did. You can just go ahead and do things right here. And I'll show you how to create a variable so that you can access it at this level. So we're going to create a var date time. Now remember, this is not inside of the class. And we're just going to access date time. Do now, close that. And then down here, we're going to go ahead and output that. Let's see, just do a BR, separate things out. We're going to do time. So now the question is, how do you access this variable when it's not inside the model? Because if we do an at model dot and do date, you can see we don't have it there. So again, it's not on the model. We've defined model up here, my Razor page, as this class. So whatever's in this class, we can make use of that at model as long as it's a property and get at it. Here we can't. So all we're going to do is at whatever the name of that thing is, which in our case is date time, save it, and let's go ahead and run again. Actually, I didn't even need to stop everything. I could have just kept it running and did another refresh on the page, and we would have saw this come through. So let's see what we have at this point. And go back where our parameter is. And there we are, so the date time is coming through. So that is a quick introduction to Razor pages. And what we're going to do next is just keep building off of this and take a look at tag helpers.